I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I actually just met you like not too long ago, right?
Yes.
Like how long? Like a couple weeks, I'd say.
It's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And we through Instagram.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think I was live one day.
Yes.
And you were like, "Yo, how do I watch your live? Like,
Yeah.
I'm out and about, and I can't listen to it right now."
Yeah.
And then I think I was like, "You can't."
Yeah.
You can't save it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, we like started talking, and we actually spent New Year's Eve together.
We did.
Right?
We did.
It was like the first New Year's Eve that like I didn't do anything with my family, and I was in town. And you were like, "Hey, I don't have any plans," and we ended up like just winging it and going out.
Had a good time.
To Arlington, out of all places.
Yes.
I like never go out in Clarendon.
Yeah, I've never been there either.
Yeah.
Definitely not for New Year's.
No.
So that
And I don't think we'd do it again.
No, I definitely wouldn't.
But it was cool.
Sorry
So,
about that.
I mean, I'm glad we met that way. I think it's like super authentic. And another thing that like came from the show, like another friendship that I think is like starting and blossoming, right? Like I think we're becoming closer and closer. And I'm grateful to have you on the show because I feel like the more I've gotten to know you, like you have a story, like everyone does. And I think that I want your story to be heard.
Sure.
And I know you're kind of like, this is my first podcast, and
This is my first podcast.
I don't know how to feel about it, but I'm glad that like you're all game for it. And yeah, I just want like people to hear what you've been through, like who you are, where you're from, what are you doing now, and hopefully at least one person can relate or take something from it. So tell us a little bit like about yourself, like
All right.
where you're from.
Yes.
Who are you?
So I'm Mel Batista, and I was actually born in New York City.
Okay, New York.
Yep, my family is from the Dominican Republic.
Okay. Were you born in New York or
New York City?
Nice.
But back then it was very different. Not that I'm that old. I said back then, but it was very different. Where my mom would have us in the States in New York, and then we'd go live in the Dominican Republic. So did that.
Oh, really? You were like back and forth?
Yeah, my first stamp 20 days later was going to the Dominican Republic.
Really?
Yep, as a baby.
For how long?
To live there. I lived there for several years.
Wow.
Until like maybe 6, and then back to New York.
Do you remember a lot, like from
not too much?
Childhood?
Not too much. Yeah.
No. Do you have a lot of family back there, or?
Yeah, a lot of my family is actually still there, either
Really?
there or in the Dominican Republic. I mean, Dominican Republic. Obviously, we're talking about that. Either there or New York City or like Florida. A lot of them also.
Really, in the warmer weather.
Yeah,
we're experiencing like crazy weather here. So in New York, so you went from DR with your mom, and do you have siblings?
I do.
How many? You have a lot.
So my mom, it's 3 of us, my brother and my sister. And then we were raised with my 2 stepsisters. My stepdad is my dad, so yeah, he raised us.
Wow.
So it's 5 of us. And my real father, that's a whole other story, but it's 16 of us.
16?
Yeah, 16,
16 plus 5. 16 with...
Well, 16 with the 3 of us,
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. Do you keep in touch with all of them?
No, not all of them. Some of them are younger, and I haven't met 2 of them, so...
Dang.
But
that's wild.
But it mainly, the older ones, we keep in touch. We see each other and stuff.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Did it take you a while to like get to know them? Like, how did you know there were so many out there, and how did you like reach all of them?
It's well, the thing is, how did we know? Yeah, one of us find out, I guess, and there's another one, so kind of, spread the word around.
Your dad was like busy.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I guess he had to beat his parents and stuff. I believe it's like 11 or 12 of them. So,
is he? Where's he?
A lot of Spanish.
I know a lot of Latin families have like a lot of kids.
He's in New York now, so.
Okay. Do you have a relationship with him?
So actually, I hadn't talked to him. Didn't have a relationship with him until last December.
Wow,
recently. It had been over 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so just recently, I decided, I didn't have any more hurt feelings or anything in my heart, from him, but
right.
I decided, I've forgiven him, so why not? He was turning 65. It was a big birthday they were doing, so I said, why not? He wanted most of his kids, the most they could possibly be there, so.
Did he like know who you were out of so
Yeah.
many kids? I'm like,
No. What's actually funny is that I lost a lot of weight since I seen him. My hair was short because I used to have long hair and I cut my hair
Yeah.
short. And he hadn't seen me in over 10 years.
was he like, this is another kid I didn't know about?
I know, right? You would have thought. No, he looked at me and he actually looked at me and like just kept looking and then like looks back. He did a double take.
Really? Do you
Yeah.
look like him? Like your
Yeah,
dad?
spit image.
Really?
Yeah.
Why we all come out like our dads? I
Can't
feel
deny
like.
it. Can't deny it.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy. And how did you? So you grew up in New York City. So you went back when you were 6 from DR
Yeah.
to New York, right?
Mhm.
And then how long were you in New York for?
We didn't
From
stay there for too long. My mom ended up meeting my stepdad.
Okay.
So it was 5 of us, and New York can be tough
Yeah.
if you go to public school for
Hell
sure.
yeah.
And so my parents couldn't afford private school for 5 kids. So
Yeah.
they had some friends that had moved to Glen Allen, Virginia, which is like near Richmond, Virginia.
Oh shit.
And yeah,
I never heard about that.
they had some friends that had moved there and
Mhm.
that they loved the area and they were like, oh, this is great for our kids. So they moved over there with their kids.
Nice.
So then my parents were like, hey, let's go check it out. They're going to check it out. And then they were like, yeah, this is nice. Let's do this. We got 5 kids.
I didn't know
Public
that.
school is not good over there. So yeah, moved us on over there.
How old were you when you moved to Virginia?
I think I was 8.
Okay, you were still
I was
super young.
Yeah, I was still young.
So you were raised here in Virginia.
I was raised in
I didn't know
Virginia.
that.
I went to some of my elementary, my middle school, and my high school.
Wow. And then how was that? Like, I mean, way different. You already knew like English fluently,
So,
right?
I knew English and stuff and Spanish.
Okay.
Because we kind of had both. So yeah, we, there was no problem with that since we were in New York and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
That's what's up. So how did you did you feel like you had a hard time fitting in Virginia? Like, I mean, being from DR, being Latina.
At first, yes. And then I was also very tall when I was young. So
You
like
are
if you
tall.
want to start like bringing all that in,
Yeah.
I felt.
How tall are you?
5'9".
I feel like in every podcast I'm like, how tall are you? I have like short woman syndrome. I'm like, I hate you.
Really? You're
Yeah,
not
dude.
short. I don't.
I'm 5'6". I'm short.
Oh, I don't know. I've never noticed.
I've always like envisioned myself taller, and I'm not.
It's not all it's cracked up to be. Either.
Well, I mean, it's better than down here. I feel like
Yeah.
5'8" would be.
But you're okay. I mean, it's still okay. You could be much shorter than that.
Yeah. Well, so Virginia.
So Virginia.
How was it growing up here?
Ooh, I did not like it.
You didn't like
I
it?
couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't stand it.
Why?
I didn't like that area. We're not talking about Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia might as well be a whole nother state.
Yeah.
We're talking about Glen Allen, Virginia. It's very different
Like,
over there. Not necessarily Southern. I just, I don't know. I guess I was just used to like the. I don't know,
well, not as
city
like
and,
liberal.
It's not. Yeah,
right?
It's definitely not. No, if it wasn't for Northern Virginia, this would always be a red state.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
So, anyways, going back to it. So
Yeah.
yes, Virginia. I don't know. I just never cared for it.
Yeah.
Definitely when I was in high school, I remember I was like,
like you wanted to get out.
I wanted to get out. Yeah.
So how did you? Well, what do you identify as?
Yeah. So I love my ladies.
You love the ladies.
Yes, I love the ladies and only the ladies. So yes.
Okay. So you're
I'm definitely gay. I'm full lesbian.
gay, lesbian,
Yeah,
queer, whatever you
that's
want to
me.
identify as.
Yeah.
So when did you know that? How did you come? You didn't know you were that?
So I remember being in elementary school, like already knowing, and like
You were like a player in like second grade.
I was always I did some little naughty stuff in the corner and stuff over there, but I definitely always knew that because I knew the way I would look at women and things that I would just think about and stuff, obviously. So, but I could not say anything because I was raised in the church. Yeah, my parents like Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesdays, sometimes on Fridays,
What?
sometimes Saturdays. Forget it if there's something special going on. It's like every day, like
Really.
And they were really, really into. So they became, I was Catholic at first, and then my mom and my stepdad then. When they went to church, they became Christian or whatever. So I guess I was raised, in and Christian, like non-denominational, they call it, whatever.
Wow.
But I was raised that way, and so I definitely could not say anything about that. I would get in trouble for easy things, as it was.
Yeah.
Growing up wasn't easy on me. Definitely not emotionally, and stuff. And as I got older in life, I was able to talk to my parents finally about a lot of stuff. So, but going back to it, so I knew, I definitely knew that I was gay from a very young age.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was planning on staying around where I lived in that area, in Richmond, Virginia area, and I was going to continue nursing school because I became a nurse in the 11th grade.
Really?
CNA, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I took the program and
Okay.
and then senior year, and then I did summer school and stuff. So senior year, I only went to school half day, and then I would go work at 3 to 11 as a nurse. I did that for my
Wow.
senior year, yeah. So then my plan was to keep going on up, LPN,
Yeah.
RN and everything. So I was gonna stay around there, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of mixed emotions once I got into my senior year and
Mm.
stuff. Like I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of the house.
Right.
I just had
Like
enough.
be independent, get
Be
out there.
independent, but also
Yeah.
be able to be myself.
Right.
That's like the main thing.
So they didn't know
My
throughout.
parents had no idea throughout the whole time. There was no way that I could have told them. I would.
You didn't have like any like girlfriends that were friends that stayed over that.
Yeah, so I had one at one point, that
Like they never caught on. Like
it was hard because I remember I had 3 other sisters as well, so they would always be around too. If when somebody sleeps over, it's like a whole sleepover.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard. So I think by the time senior year hit and everything, I think I was like ready to explode. So it was kind of last minute. I'm like, I need to go to college, and that's how last minute it was.
Yeah.
I had no idea where to go. So I got convinced, because I was raised in the church. I got convinced to go to Liberty University. You ever heard of that school?
Yeah, of course I did.
Liberty University, all right?
Yeah.
So I got convinced to go there. And why did I do that? The only reason why I say it is because I went from not being able to be myself to really not be able to be myself. So it got worse. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
So, my parents thought it was a good thing, and then they were, like I said, it was so last minute that hardly any schools were, it was closed already.
Did you accept at this point that you were gay?
Yeah.
Or were you trying to convince yourself that
Convince myself? Oh, I see what you're saying. No. Yeah. So at that point I still had it. So I went to the school, this university, and it got even worse, that I was definitely trying to convince myself to not, I had a boyfriend there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I had a boyfriend until I realized that he was in love with me and he was going to propose to me. And I was like, yeah, let's stop this right here. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I felt real bad, but that's when it definitely hit me. And I actually got in trouble at the school because, someone found out that I was gay, and the school did not accept that. So
what they do, write you a letter,
it's against it's basically against the their rules and their policies and stuff, and so I was being booted out.
Wow.
So that's when I got really fed up, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? My parents by that point had already heard that I was gay.
Oh, they heard about it from the school?
No, they heard about it because my roommate at that time, unfortunately, told on me. And so
why?
It was horrible. It was a horrible thing. And supposedly that was like my best friend at the university, but anyway, so that was that. And
yeah. And what year was this?
This was 2002.
Okay.
2002.
Wow.
And so then I that's when I decided, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And things started getting rough with my parents because they didn't accept that I was gay. So I decided to join the military. That's when I joined the Air Force.
Cool.
Yep, joined the Air Force. And I did that because honestly, to get away, to figure out what to do with my life, and
Yeah,
kind of, just
like you were lost.
travel. I was lost, and I knew that I could get, benefits, but also travel, learn some things, maybe, just a different experience in life. So.
And why the Air Force?
The Air Force, because I knew that.
I mean, why the best force?
Why the best force? Yeah, well, because
I'm an Air Force vet too. If people don't know.
Exactly. They're the best. The Air Force is the best.
It is the best.
It is. I spoke to all the different recruiters, believe it or not, and I just,
really?
yeah, and the Air Force, not everyone could get into the Air Force, and I just, for me, I didn't, I thought about it. I'm like, well, I don't want to go that hardcore, like the Marines, I don't want to do that, and I didn't want to be on a ship a lot of times,
Right.
So I went with the Air Force.
It was like the best fit.
But yeah, it just worked out,
Wow.
So yeah, joined the Air Force.
So you joined, how long were you in?
I was in the Air Force for almost
5. Okay. Did you get to travel? Like, did you get to?
I did.
Do what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I got to travel. Yep.
Nice.
Got deployed some. I was security forces at
Oh.
first. Yeah. Then I
always felt bad for security forces.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. That's for sure. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. And I cross trained. Ended up cross training over to
nice. IT.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So you get out 5 years later. What year?
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay. 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time goes by.
Time goes.
So what'd you do? You got out, pursued IT?
At first, I pursued IT, but I didn't go. So at first, I couldn't find a job and stuff. So I was working as taking care of my friend's mother who was ill. I went back to like my CNA days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing that. And then I started looking at government jobs. So then I
got into the
got
government.
into the government. Yep.
Sweet.
Yes.
Wait, so when did you come out to your parents?
So I came out to my parents. So, my best friend at the time in college, I had, told them that I was gay. So when they asked me, I told them that it was true.
So they knew before you joined the Air Force.
So they knew before I joined the Air Force.
And did they accept it?
They did not accept it. It was rough. So my parents actually, for years, they did not accept it. My dad stopped talking to me for a long time, and my mom, the conversation, she would call me just to make sure I was okay, like that I was alive.
Yeah.
Conversations, hey mom, hi, how are you? Doing fine. Okay. All right.
Like short.
That was it. Very short. Yeah.
That's so sad. And you don't have any gay family members?
No.
None that you know about.
That I know about. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But I always say, I'm like,
exactly.
They're always.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sad.
It's not easy. It's sad, but it's not
Yeah.
easy, and especially there's unfortunately cultures and stuff have a lot to do with it. And
Of course.
Latino families, it's very rough.
I know.
It's very rough. So yeah.
I know, but it's like what we were just talking about. It's like it's not no one chooses a harder life. If I could choose to be straight, I would.
Yeah.
Very quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you get out, you take care of your friend's mom that's ill. Did you think about pursuing like nursing again?
Yeah, it did. I thought about it, but I had gone through so much by then. Definitely different experiences in the military. Good, but a lot of bad ones. And then just but when I was in the military, don't ask, don't tell was very alive.
Same.
Exactly. So
I got married to a guy.
Yeah.
Wow. To hide it, yeah.
To hide it, yeah.
I had like a couple friends that got kicked out, yeah. And they were like, you're in that circle. You're coming up.
Yeah.
And I talked to one of my buddies, and yeah, we got married. I mean, a lot of people did that.
Yeah.
It seems like a lifetime ago, right?
It does. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
Yes.
So then, I mean, and yeah, I'm sure you went through a lot, and you still deal with things from the military, and that we all do, and that it's just like it stays with you forever. Exactly. Unfortunately, the good and the bad, Yeah, I thought
So-
about a saying that, or a quote that I read that was like, what was it, like like war stays with you forever, or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember the exact quote, but I mean, people deal with real shit. You know, mental health is like huge for me because
Yeah.
I wish like when we were younger, like in middle school, high school, we talked about it, and I'm glad people do now. But I mean, it's rough.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, it's rough because you already have to deal with like regular shit like everyone else, but then
Yeah,
you also have to deal with, the fact of being gay and then not being accepted by
yeah,
your own family and your own.
yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
we're constantly like we've always had to hide who we are or find a solution to like keep surviving.
Exactly.
You know, which is crazy. And that's what I feel like makes, I don't know, like this podcast and the women that I want on it, and women, men, whoever I decide to have on it or whoever wants to be on it, but mostly queer women. Like I want to bring attention to the strength that like
Yeah.
that we've gone through, especially as like minorities and already having to be a minority, already having to be, you know, having to prove yourself, being immigrants, having to learn the language, like having to prove to your family that you're gonna be better than the last generation, and pull the family forward, and have better opportunities, and if you have kids, provide better opportunities. It's like there's always so much pressure for real, like put on us, and especially like first generation, Americans. And I mean, we're not, but I'm just saying, like, well, you were born in New York, right?
Yeah.
So you are
I
actually.
am. Yeah.
So it's just so much pressure because they have so many expectations from you. Like, I feel like a lot of times it's like, well, I brought you to this country and I gave you this opportunity. What are you gonna do, right? And then you're already facing all of that. So professionally, I feel like we have to excel.
Right.
Because if not, our family is just gonna like disown us.
Right.
And then after that, it's like, oh, I'm gay, and it's like, really, like all. I feel like sometimes it's like, we've done all of this for you, and this is how you like betray us, or how you treat us, or I don't know. I just feel like it takes a lot of strength to come out and like
It really
accept who
does.
you are.
It
You know
really
what I mean?
does. It
So-
really does. I fought for so long, especially since I was
Yeah.
raised, in the church and stuff. I fought for so long. Like, no, there's something wrong with it. No, it's got to be me. No, I'm gonna make myself,
Yeah.
be with this guy, or it's just it sucks that you even have to, think that you even
Yeah.
have to force yourself.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong in who you are.
Exactly.
And that I think like realizing that and accepting that, and whether that's through like therapy, whatever method you use, like to get to that point, I think. And I think now, like in the 30s, upper 30s, like I don't know, you come to the realization it's like the bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
just accept who you are, own it.
Yep.
And who cares what the
And who
fuck people
cares?
think?
Exactly.
And I wish we had that mentality back
Back then, exactly.
back then. Yeah, it's crazy.
You have to have that mentality, because
Yeah.
everyone lives their own life, and
Yeah.
I'm not hurting anyone,
Yeah, I always say that
I'm
though.
not
I'm like,
hurting
I'm not a
anyone.
bad person. I'm not
Yeah.
harming anybody. Yeah,
And it's all a judgmental thing, in reality.
yeah.
Okay, so what?
Well,
I'm
especially
gay,
our culture, like
yeah.
the Latino cultures, the Latin culture is very
It's
judgmental
very judgmental
within ourselves.
Yes.
And it kind of reminds me, like in the LGBT community, like it's also very judgmental.
Yep.
Like every community.
Every community really is. We're
You
human
know?
beings.
Watch your mic. Don't give me that. No, but it's yeah, we're human beings. We're not perfect, and I think just like trying to be a better human being every day is like the only thing that we can do.
Yep.
You know.
Mhm.
So moving forward, you joined the government and you pursued IT, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then when did you? I mean, I'd like to talk, if you're open to it, about what you opened to me about the other night about your surgery that you had.
Oh yes.
Yeah. How did that?
Sure.
Would you like to share that story?
Yeah, for sure. So I started, years ago, I started experiencing like headaches and stuff, right? They're more
Right.
than normal. But then, right during the time when COVID hit, it was about, I'll say, maybe like July. Let's see, COVID was 2020, right? So July 2019, it kind of started. All where I would get like those headaches from migraines, like really bad migraines. The whole light. Have to be in the dark because it's so bad. And so I started getting migraines, and then like I started like having like this feeling of like this pressure in my head and my neck and my back, and like my I would start hearing my heart beating literally in my ears. Like I could literally like it was literally in my ear, and it was all day, every day. That noise was in my ear, and then I
Sounds
started.
unbearable.
It was. I was like starting to get so scared, because then my eyes started to like get really pressurized, and like I started to like I guess it started to kind of close in.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't even see. Sometimes I would like run into the table and stuff because I wouldn't see that there was a table there.
Like your vision literally.
I started getting tunnel vision.
Oh my God.
Correct. And so
I'm getting like dry eyes just thinking. I deal with dry eyes already. I'm like
was
thinking about that shit.
So then I had to start going to go see a eye specialist, and stuff.
Yeah.
So they had no idea what was going on. I think I first went and saw an ear, nose, and throat doctor because of the sound in my ear,
Right.
because of how much my ears hurt. They didn't find nothing. Then I went to I told them about the heartbeat sound. I went to cardiovascular. They didn't find nothing. Then I went to let's see. I feel like I went to
just every doctor
possible.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing various neurologists, and I finally went to one that knew what was going on. And he's like, I believe you have, it's called IIH, idiopathic intracranial hypertension. And he was like, but this is very rare. He's like, in order to see if you have it, we've got to do a lot of studies, and stuff, and have you do a lumbar puncture and stuff. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, a lumbar puncture, we have to do that to be able to see what the pressure is for this condition you're saying. So
yeah.
So he was the one that that said that. So I started doing the studies and everything, and COVID hit at that time, and so everything came to a halt. Remember?
Yeah.
So I did not get to. I had to basically halt everything. There was no more studies, or anything. Couldn't do my exams that I needed to do. So I suffered for like the next 2 years.
Damn.
With this, and it only got worse and worse and worse. Got worse. So they were like, emergency. Eventually they got to like doing
emergency procedures.
Yeah, I remember like the emergency procedures.
Yeah.
So, but until then I had to kind of hold on. What they were able to do for me was do those lumbar punctures. Lumbar punctures, the first time they did it was really rough. They couldn't, get it at. They had to try different. People had to try. But basically,
it's super dangerous, right?
It's very dangerous. Yeah, it's very dangerous. And it relieves the pressure. But I haven't even really told you about the condition. So the condition is this. So what it is like you have the spinal fluid that is around your brain. And then you have, it's also, part of the spinal cord. So we absorb it. Our body absorbs it every day, all day, and we produce it all day long.
Right.
And so it basically, it spins around your head and your spinal cord, and it gets absorbed, and it produces again. So it's constantly flowing. So for me, it was not, it wasn't coming out fast enough. So basically, all the pressure, all that water and everything was staying in my head, and it wasn't coming out, running down to my spinal cord. Yeah, and so not at the speed that it should have, and obviously my body's still absorbing it. So it got to the point where I couldn't even see, like I would, it would be completely black. Like I would just see black.
I couldn't see anything.
I couldn't see anything. I would just see black, constantly like ready to pass out. It got really bad. I would see, you know, because at the beginning I was seeing blurry. I remember I
Right.
started seeing a lot of blurry stuff. You know, it was double vision first, and it was blurry, and it was just, you know, got bad. And then so I realized that I couldn't see anything, and definitely when I bent it over, it was just complete blackout. You know, so that's when they realized that they have to do the surgery, and they have to find a doctor that can do it. You know, luckily
my
we're in
gosh.
Northern Virginia, so
Yeah,
we are we're blessed
In a
to
good
be in a good
area.
area, you know, to have good doctors. So
Yeah.
there was a doctor there that I was the seventh patient of his for the surgery. So
Seventh patient. But like
seventh
you had no
patient.
choice at this point.
No, I had no choice. No, I had to
You're
be
like, I'm
done.
doing it.
Yeah, no, I had to be done. And they told me, you know, you're gonna lose your eyesight.
They told you that?
Yeah, that I was gonna lose my eyesight
Oh my
because
god.
that's how, because of the pressure. The pressure was, you know, the nerves, you know, the pressure on my eye, you know, on my eyes and everything. It was just, it was horrible. So I had to, you know, I had
Wow.
to do it. Yeah, I had to do it. And since, you know, technology is so much advanced these days, it's amazing.
Yeah.
They didn't have to like cut me open, cut my head open. They actually were able to do it through
Chris.
through the veins and stuff, you know, through the down here in my groin area. They went through there and they
From there to your brain.
to my brain. Yeah, they put a metal there, a stent
Wow.
to open it up to be able to allow the water to start flowing the way it should.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's ludicrous. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what a difference it has done for me. Those were rough, you know, and the fact that I could lose my vision to that,
Right.
you know,
So
that got
scary.
me very scared. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was obviously a success.
Yeah, it was
Right.
success.
So
And
what happens now? Like,
yeah, so I just, you know, every year I go and I get CAT scans done on my brain, you know,
Mhm.
and
wow.
you know, how I was gonna tell you too, you know, the recovery was very rough. I actually had a hard time speaking. I
Yeah, you
would,
said you had to go to speech, right?
yeah, I had to go to speech. I had to do speech therapy because I would actually stutter like really bad, and then I would also forget words. Like at the beginning, I couldn't even
Wow.
remember Spanish hardly.
Really?
And, yeah, and then English, you know, like I couldn't remember, like, you know, this was a cup, you know, or a glass. I couldn't remember what this
Like
was
the
called.
basic
The
stuff.
basic things, yeah. It was
So how
very
long did it
scary.
take you to like get back to normal?
It took me about a year.
Wow.
It took me about a year. Yeah, you know, it was
It's
was
a long
hard.
time.
It
And
was
were you
hard.
alone during this? Did you have
Um,
like someone with you, family?
so I was fortunate enough to have my ex at that time.
Okay.
Her and her family
Okay.
were there taking care of me. We weren't even together at that point.
Really?
Yeah. So it was, you know, it was still a good thing that you know,
She was
taking
there
care
for
of
you.
me. Yeah. So
That's amazing.
mhm,
Wow.
yeah.
And how do you feel? I mean, today, would you do it all over again, like the surgery and
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely something, you know,
wow.
I recommend to everyone. And, you know, I had no choice anyways to do it. But, you
Yeah.
know, you know, it's just, I was lucky to be able to have the option to do that, you
Yeah.
know, because I'm sure, you know, I'm sure this happened back then. They just didn't know there was no way they could know what it even was
I
and
know.
where to even begin, you know? So,
That's so And does it run in the family at all? Like, do you know
no,
anybody
no, I
that
don't even know a soul that has it. I actually just,
Wow.
well, recently I did meet someone that has it, but it's a very rare case that not a lot of people.
What is it, like one in what?
I don't remember honestly.
Millions? I mean,
Yeah. I don't remember the statistics on it.
that's so crazy.
Yeah, it's rare. So
I mean, good for you that you're lucky, you're blessed that you're able to come out of that and like have your eyesight.
for sure. And have my speech because I thought for sure
Yeah,
I
have
was
your
gonna
speech,
struggle, you
like
know?
be able to walk. I mean, that
Yeah, I
those
love that.
injections and those punctures are so dangerous.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of a brain surgery that where like they enter through the groin area. That
Yeah.
surprised me so much when you told me that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope that like someone that's listening knows someone that's gone through it and can relate, you know, and
Yes.
and I'm hopefully y'all could connect or something. It'd be like really cool.
Yeah.
Just because you're not the only one, you know.
Yeah. No,
And just
it's
like getting
sure.
getting the voice heard. And I mean, when's the first time that you went to the doctor? Like, what's the first symptom that you had that made you go to the doctor? Was it like a severe symptom, or was it
the ear? No, just the ear, like
Just
the
the ear.
noise in my ear. So at first it was just like a whoosh, whoosh sound, like a
Yeah.
whooshing sound.
It's so crazy because I have a sound, like I have fluid in my ear,
Uh-huh.
in my eardrums, from deployment,
Mhm.
from not wearing like ear protection and having them like, damaged.
Right.
And I can't get it out because they can't puncture. They would have to puncture the eardrum.
The eardrum, correct.
So I deal a lot with like kind of like a plastic bag sound, like a
Mhm.
crinkling.
Mhm.
And I've gone to ear and throat, and they're like, "You're fine," and I'm like, and now talking to you, I'm like,
You're
I'm
not
like-
crazy, man. You hear it.
I'm like, I know what the hell I'm feeling
yeah.
and hearing. I'm gonna go
No,
check it out.
definitely. I mean, remember, there's the tinnitus and everything, though, too. Like,
Yeah.
I believe, I know you got a noise in there. They
Yeah,
didn't believe me either when I was telling them. I'm like, it's like a whoosh sound, and like,
yeah.
then it became like my heartbeat sounds. That got even crazier.
Wow.
But yeah, that was the first sign was that, and because it was so bothersome, because it would like vibrate also, vibrate.
Dude,
and
mine
like I
does the
would
same
hear it.
thing.
Hmm.
Como un tambor, like like a drum when you go like that and it goes like that's how I feel
see.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get checked out more
Huh.
about my ear.
Yeah.
Who knows?
No.
No, I don't.
It's that water in there.
It's just water, yeah, fluid. But the ears, like especially like, did you ever deal with like the
The
equilibrium?
equilibrium, yeah.
That's so tough.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you have like meds for life, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, at least there's something helping you out,
Yes. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yes. I mean, I still deal a lot with, I could be talking and all of a sudden I would just
Like
forget what I was talking about, or I just don't remember. I still have it where I just don't remember something,
Right.
But that's part of it,
Yeah.
and then I also, I'm an Air Force veteran, like we had said, I have PTSD, so I know that's also part of, things too.
Yeah.
We deal with all that, so
People don't get that sometimes. They're like,
no.
I was just talking to you. How could you forget? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't even explain it.
Yeah, unless you
But you
go
have like
through
a
it.
double. You have that and then the
Yeah.
surgery.
So it definitely
Wow.
happens.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's better than I'll take that over and over again. I'm able to
course.
see,
Yeah. I mean, you're able to live.
able to walk.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that like you came out of that and push forward day by day. And I know you still deal with, like we all do, like everyone deals with struggles, and especially from the military, especially I'm sure from that surgery, plus other things, but take it one day at a time, right? That's what I always say. I'm like, one day at a time. If I can get through today, tomorrow's a new day.
That's all we can. Yeah. I really have a hard time thinking about tomorrow.
Me too. Life's too short. And I think that's why we connected.
Yeah.
You know why we're connecting, and I didn't even know you were like a vet or Air Force vet or whatever. We just went out to New Year's, and now we're like building a friendship. So
yeah,
I'm grateful for
everything happens for a reason, right?
Another thing because of the show, I'm grateful for, honestly.
Yes.
For real. All right, let me ask you a question. So, what's like, if someone's listening right now, like relating to your story or just listening to your story, like, what is one thing that, I don't know, a message to the people who are listening, like about you, about your outlook on life, about what you've been through? It could be anything. Just like a last word. I think that you've had like such a story, and I know we didn't get into real like in deep detail, but just like a vague story of who you are and how you got here and what you've been through, which is like a lot of suffering, like especially through that, that you've been through. Like, what is something that like you'd like to leave people with about you, about Mel?
Yeah. So I'd have to say, I would have to say, to be really your authentic self, because I struggle with that for so long. you know, and outside of everything. So even coming down to the way I wanted to dress, you know. Yeah, I hated wearing dresses, you know. So, you know,
We all did.
we all right, we all did. Being your authentic selves, you know, and you know, even throughout life, you know, even going in the military, I was security forces, you know, at first, you know, what, me, a female want to do security forces, you know, no, but that's what I wanted to do, you know. So it could be, you know, in that case, or it could be the fact that, you know, you're gay, or the fact that you want to dress like this, or, you know, however, you know, definitely be your authentic self, because I struggled a lot with that. And I, you know, tried to please people all the time because of it. And I, you know, was a constant people pleaser. You know, it's
and then
like
you
a
end up
domino
suffering
effect.
at the end. Yeah.
Exactly. And in the end, I'm the one that ended up suffering, you know. So I wish that, you know, I would have told myself back then, you know, I would have saved myself a lot of headache and heartbreak, and just a lot of, you know, people don't realize that when they judge you and when they don't accept you for being you, what they create, and especially, you know, from a child, you know, you got to deal with all that, you know, growing up in life throughout your, you know, stages in life. And even when you're older, you know, you gotta eventually like get therapy for it, or it's something that, you know, is just gonna stick with you, you know. So
I totally agree.
So yeah, I would definitely, that's, you know, I would tell myself that, because, you know, I could have just saved myself to a lot of you know, not being so hard on myself, I guess, in life, you know, and love myself more, you know, because it went down to that, you know, to that point that I didn't love myself enough, you know, because everyone else judged me and didn't accept me for who I was. So, you know.
And I feel like that's, I mean, it's a beautiful message. Like, we all struggle, I think, every day, most of us, to love ourselves and to learn how to love ourselves and accept ourselves, you know, and be authentic. And I couldn't agree more. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for coming on and like just being open to talking about your story. And I hope, like, I know one person at least is gonna resonate, relate, or take something from it.
Yes.
And for I appreciate it. And like, I look forward to our friendship.
For sure,
and
me too.
What's coming, and more New Year's and
Yes,
more
exactly.
better places.
Exactly.
But all right, yo, thanks, Mel.
For sure. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of
I'm
course.
happy. I'm proud of you too for what you're doing. This is awesome.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll help some people.
Exactly. I'm excited to be a part of it. So
Thanks,
thank you.
Mel. All right, yo.
All right.
All right.